Hello, welcome to Afrobeat Live Marriage Series. This is a special day because I have a special guest for you guys. We have a special treat for you guys. So let me introduce myself. My name is Akinmboni, and today I have one of the most lovely couples that you can have in our midst. They've been married for 45 years. They just did their 45 wedding anniversary, and today they're going to tell us what it takes to be married for that long, the good, the bad, and the sweet, I should say. Please join me in welcoming Engr Adesina, Dame Adetope Tychus. Mommy, Daddy, welcome. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. I mean, I'm happy to be here live with Afrobeat.
Mommy, how are you doing?
I'm cool, I'm good, and excited to be celebrated by ABL.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you coming here to spend, part of your holiday with us to drop some knowledge. With that being said, like I said earlier, they've been married for 45 years. Marriage these days is not what it used to be, right? So if you do the calculation, I was at church when I found out, we go to the same church, by Pastor Adetope Tychus, when he mentioned that, today is my parents' 45th wedding anniversary. And the light bulb went off in my head like, wow, 45 years. How old am I? That's almost my age. So I have to meet them. I have to talk to them. I have to give some wisdom from them. But since I'm not a selfish person, we are sharing the knowledge with you guys. So it's for us. So please sit down for the next few minutes or so. Let's see what it takes to survive a marriage for this long. And I hate to use the word survive because it's been a pleasure. I've known Mr. and Mrs. Tychus for over 20 years, just about 20 years now. And when I say mommy and daddy, they're not my biological parents, but in our culture, when someone is older than you, old enough to be your parents, they are your mom and dad. So I just wanted to, for our foreign audience that are not Africans and don't understand the culture. So let's start. Daddy, I'm going to start with you because you are the one closest to me. I know they say ladies first, but you're on my side.
I'm going to go.
Yes. So my first question to you is 45 years. Back in your time, I know my dad, my uncle used to say, I wooed her. Is that the right phrase? Am I saying it right? So, or toast.
I almost say I toasted her.
Toasted her. How did it start? Please tell us.
Well, good. Honestly, let me back up a little bit. I started with my lady then, now my wife, back in July 1974. I hope I'm right.
Correct.
Because I finished college, University of Lagos, Lagos, Nigeria, back in June of 1973. Thereafter, I proceeded. We started the youth corps service, 1 year compulsory service, yeah. And that took me out of Lagos to Calabar, and now crossed the River State. That was July 73 to June 74. Coming back from youth corps, with all the excitement, somebody have just finished college. I had on my phone like any young man, trying here and there to see who will suit this fine-looking man with all the prospects.
I know where the name come from. I have a little bit of background, but go ahead. Please tell us.
I mean, just finishing up my engineering course then and coming back. In our own days, before I finished the service, I had 3 jobs, but I had to choose one. At the end of the day, I ended up in the oil and gas industry, Gulf Oil Company to be specific. To get back to how did I meet her, very funny day, My good self and 2 other friends, we just said, each time we will go out and have lunch together, do things together, socialize together, all in an attempt like a young, you know, people just starting life, you know. And we said we should go and have lunch at a cafeteria close to, you know, where we were then, you know. And here we are, I just went to this cafeteria, I saw this young looking damsel, and I say, hey, you know, I started asking myself, this girl does not look like just any of the girls you've been hanging out with, that kind of a thing. Of course, my other two friends were also interested. Wow. And it took quite a while between the three of us to say, who goes first? At the end of the day, I convinced the other two guys that I'm the one to go. I love it. So, I first met my dad, look, hello, how are you? And we started talking. That was how it all started. Wow. And, you know, July 1974. So, July 1974, before to marriage, he had a kind of, you know, interesting relationship, hanging out, doing almost everything that any young man would do with a lady. We'll go clubbing together, or do stuff together, all in an attempt to, can I check her out, you know, that kind of a thing, you know, and she was also checking me out, you know. You know, those days, there weren't all the challenges that you now have these days. You could hang out till late, but each time I always had to make sure that I got her back home, because very, very strict parents she had then. And of course, my parents too, you know. You can imagine people who are anchored on, you know, a God in their lifestyle. And I think that was one of my, you know, good luck, you know, coming that way. Because when I look at marriage today, I believe my own life has always been anchored on a tripod. You know, the kind of schools I went, you know, starting with my primary school, secondary school, which is high school here, yeah, and even college. That's one. Then the church, you know, that kind of a thing. And two, the kind of education I had. You know, it prepared me very much for going into this venture. And that was how, after meeting her, you know, somehow it clicked. And we started moving along for the 3 years before wedding. It looked like, you know, I'm stuck right here.
Let's take you back to memory lane. What made you say, I like this guy. Like, this is the right man for me?
My husband, let me say Shino. Like Shino said, when we met in 1974, I was only 19. Wow. And for me, priority wasn't dating and it wasn't marriage. But then he will come round and say, yes, college, you are in the right age, marriage will not disturb you. It doesn't matter when we get married. It doesn't matter what you plan to do or what your goals and aspirations are. Nothing is going to disturb that. So with that encouragement that I could do marriage and I could do education and I could both, no ball will drop, I was encouraged. So taking him home, apparently the only one that I took home, because my parents don't even want to listen to no man's talk at all.
Not at 19.
At all. That's not what you should be talking. He's going to college. So we eventually managed to convince my parents that, look, yes, we are looking towards marriage, but it's not going to disturb education. Because my parents were teachers, and to them, education is the ultimate. So initially we were to have gotten married in 76, and my dad said, take your time, nothing to really hurry about. And that was how 77 came into. In actual fact, when I had my first child, on the naming ceremony day, I had an exam.
Wow.
And I had to quickly do naming ceremony. She not take care of baby. Wow. I went back to school to sit for an exam.
Wow. That's crazy.
What happened in between is the story for another day, because when the baby was crying non-stop, Sheena was like, what am I going to do? He just, baby food. Anytime he cries, food. Anytime.
Yes.
He did a bad job of that 3 hours window that I was about. The most.
How were you able to concentrate on the exam knowing that?
That daddy and baby was.
Honestly, that was
So that
one
was
of the
the
things that
time.
really got me attracted to her. She could run with so many things and
Multitasked,
Yeah,
it's called.
she did very well, you know.
So, one of the challenges that we have in marriage these days is, the first few years of marriage is always tough, right? Because now you have two people from different backgrounds coming together and to make them work. I like when you said earlier, you have 3 pillars that have held you, which is your religion, your belief, your school and your focus. And you same thing, you had good parents that, that supported you, that said, okay, no. Yeah, no, marriage, let's wait, you have to go to school. You were determined to go to school. But I'm sure after you got married, the first few years, I can speak for myself because my wife and I were a totally different personality. And the first, we didn't actually live together when we first got married until after the wedding. That's when we moved in. And now you have to adjust to this person who came from a totally different background. How was it to navigate the first few years of marriage? Let's say maybe the first 3 years of marriage, or after you moved in. How was that? How was that adjusting? Because it's fun to date and go home and you walk out home, make sure she's safe, and you go to your house, you do your thing. But now you're living together. How was that first few years of marriage?
Let me take that question. The first few, for me, like I normally say to my husband, we go into marriages from different perspectives. Yeah. I went into it like, I'm escaping from these parents that are too disciplined. I thought I was escaping because it's like you must be back home wherever you go, 7 in the evening, you must be back. Like we were regimented. Yeah. So marriage for me was an escape. Forgetting that it's a different ballgame when you now got married. So when we now got into marriage, like you said, different from dating, I'm like, I'm hungry. Tope, I'm like, hey, you can't call me 20 times in 5 minutes. Those were the realities that I now had to grasp with and readjust. If a young bride, if you are not readjusting and facing reality, which is different from dating, that is all sweet talk and take you out, bring you back, is a different ballgame. The faster and the earlier you readjust, the better. And that will determine what comes after. No readjusting properly is to start having arguments, avoidable arguments. You have to readjust, husband have to readjust, and the two of you must come to the understanding of this must work. So if I want to call you 20 times, I'm going to reduce it and call you maybe 10.
Gotcha.
If you want to whine 5 times, maybe you reduce it and be considerate of your partner. So those are the ingredients you bring in very early, because once you lay that foundation, it's easy to build year 1, year 2, year 45 on top of it. So you are considerate of one another. You readjust to fit into the mode, because it's now a new mode that you are building. You readjust to fit into that mode. You intentionally decide it's going to work. Because if it doesn't work, who do you want to look like? My parents were not divorced. His parents are not divorced. So where do you say you will get your own? Back in the days, That's what they will tell you. The foundation is very important, and you need to do that in the first few years of marriage. If you use us as an example, we got married 1977. First baby came 10 months after. So there was even no room for romance. There was no room for nothing like that. A baby came, 2 became 3. So I'm going back to why we must readjust.
So speaking of adjustment, Daddy, I want to ask you this, because this is something that a lot of guys struggle with. Yeah. Earlier you were talking about, you're hanging out with your friend, you see this fine young lady, and then all of a sudden you are married.
Yes.
How did you adjust from being the guy, having fun with friends, and now you have responsibility, because now you got married, 10 months later, you have a baby. Yeah. She's taking an exam on the naming ceremony. Maybe she's my friend, who is now a pastor, but how was that adjustment?
That was very interesting. I would start from all the time I was hanging out with my friends or something. I met her while doing that. So I would say for about 3 years before marriage, she was all part of that. Mm-hmm. We had times to really check each other out. Is this guy showing any commitment, on her side? Does she want to go on this journey of unknown, together with this young man, And somewhere along the line, I saw that this is not the boyfriend-girlfriend affair. We better seal the deal and catch her really young as she was then, and that was very interesting. I had a lot of things that I learned from hanging out with friends, and later with her own friends too. I could figure out what our own values going into this venture together, and that kind of thing. Like some of our friends who had, great challenges, some, I would say, missed their road, girlfriend didn't eventually turn out to be wife, or he himself, not really being constituted with a relationship before going into that. So I had a lot of experience doing that. Those 3 years pre-marriage give me a lot of experience. And plus, like I said, with the 2 parents, like if I take her out, there was a day the daddy told me that don't bring my girl back after 8 o'clock. She must be back before 8 o'clock. I would say that I learned a lot, during those 3 years. And because of the mutual commitment we have for the venture, that let's go forward with this, we really didn't have too much of any problem or challenge starting off. And the values then, it's not like here that, you just go into credit to do all sorts of things. You cut your coat for your size. So we started on a very low scale, It was after we were married, you had to hire a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom apartment or something like that. And we gradually started building our stuff to get our values. Wherever I went, she went. So we didn't stay apart, because that was another one that could have caused some problem. So she went to work, I pick her up, we all both come back together, We really had fun, I bet you. It was those first few years making the babies, it was fun.
Good. I'm glad you said fun, because marriage is fun, it's work, it's also a business. Now, let's talk about the business aspect of it. I know most of our generation, our parents' generation, only the husband worked. But when I met your mommy 20 years ago, I know you were working.
Serious. From day one.
I know you were working. Yeah. So what was the dynamic like for you guys managing finances? Was there ever been a time where maybe he wasn't working or was in transition or business wasn't well, you had to step in, managing the 3 kids, right? And then also managing finances. Can you give us a little insight into that, I know you know, you were a big man at, I don't want to put the business out there, but I will allow you to put it out there. But how was managing finances and marriage?
Let me take that from,
You want to go first?
I'm sure I will speak your mind at the end of I will speak your mind at the end of the day.
Okay, go ahead.
Like I said, Shina met me right in my office on the table where I was working. So from day one, we both of us, we've always worked. And finances and handling the family was now a question of what is your priority. Because this is not a one income, it's a two income. Meaning that we could afford X, you may want Y, but is that what you want for now? So we had to set priorities, starting from which school the children will attend, starting from the care of, the kind of, back in Nigeria, we had what they call house help. Yeah. The level, the caliber, even of the house help we were getting had to match the income level. So we had to set priorities, taking advantage of the kind of education that we have. We have seen instances of people who either earned lower than us or earned more than us, but couldn't take good financial decisions. And they ran into trouble. Because that is where understanding comes in. It means both of you must be on the same page in terms of what to do for now. Yes, we can afford to go into a bigger house. Yes, we can afford 3 or 4 cars. But is that the priority? Given the short-range plan and the long one for the family, the entire family, including the children. We want to give the children the best of education. We want them to match their colleagues or their peers one-on-one, or even beat, they are never disadvantaged. So we had all those ones. What we didn't enjoy, we were ready to give, to sacrifice and give to them. So most of the financing issues we think we have would be on the best decision to match the moment, the present moment. Both of us were in the oil and gas. He was in Gulf. Gulf became Chevron. I was in Unipetro, former ESSO. ESSO here in the US, but in Nigeria, they were Unipetro, became O&O as of today. So both of us were in the oil and gas industry, which is not the norm. It's not the norm, but that is how we found ourselves. So to us, most of the time, it wasn't the issue. The problem wasn't lack of funds, but priority. To make sure that even the children, we really wanted to give them the best, but we also didn't want to spoil them. We didn't want to spoil. If it wasn't on camera, PT was the one that, because by the time PT came, we were very comfortable. GM, Chevron, this, Madam is this, eventually managing director of course. And then he would tell you, don't bring this car to come and pick me in school. This is the car. This is not. You didn't work for the car, right? Wait till you start working and you can. I now decided to send to his school the list of the vehicles we had, which he doesn't like. But PT has turned out very disciplined as of today. Some parents will be like, he's there, go and bring him with it. Go and no. So most of, in summary, for us it was decision making. And when you make the wrong decisions, down the line, one way or the other, Either you pay or the children will pay for it. Some person will suffer for it. So for us, most of the time, the challenge was the best decision at any particular moment. Guiding education, guiding what we even eat, or put, or where, you know, or where we shop, or where we go on vacation, those things. And I don't think I can recall a situation where it now became, if that's the way you want to do, you can go your own. If that's, I don't think so.
Yeah, good.
Somehow we found a way of doing a round table, and in agreement, we will now take that action.
That's good. I think she's actually more or less captured that. And I think what I'd like to add is that finance started taking off as, you know, a couple. Finance wasn't too much of a problem. Just to repeat what she said, that it was just getting your priorities right. And I think we did very well on that, all through the stages. Even coming this far, you know, we want to do A, B, C, D, but look, this is the finance exposure we have in terms of availability. Can we do this at the time? I recall it was after we had our first son, Wale, that she had to go for her HND. And
In
started in UK then. And then, you know, it wasn't that tough to get from M completed in the bank, and, you know, that was, so look at the priority. Well, hey, madam, I wish I could have you around me forever and ever, you know, just starting marriage. Yeah. But at the same time, the agreement we had was that you two will do a few other things to improve self, and of course to improve our financing too, because the higher laurels she brings back home, it translates to more money, you know. So I was equally conscious of that, and everything went very well.
But this question is actually to you, Daddy. You know, and she was talking about how my good friend Pastor Tayo, you know, was very picky by kind of cars and stuff like that. So my question is, who, Daddy?
That was his fault, child.
Who is the disciplinarian of the house? Who's the one, the iron lady or the iron male of the house? With the kids, with the children.
Children, I think out of that too, I was ready to spoil them a little bit. But she kept on, you know, say, hey, you have to stay on course, stay on course.
She's the one.
Yeah, you know, and she did a good job of that, particularly when you relate that to the kind of job I had then. As an operations man, I was out of the house, you know, I would say half of the time.
So that's great. I mean, it's good to know that, you know, Mommy, you were the disciplinarian. So it's great. You know, it's good to have a good support system. But so I want us to kind of fast forward, you know, to 40 years, let's say 20 years after marriage, because these days we see a lot of marriage don't even last that long, you know. Has there ever been a time, and this is, anybody can pick this question, has there ever been a time where you say, this marriage won't work, or me, I'm tired? You know, obviously we know that he worked out because you are here 45 years later, but think back, has there been a time where you're just tired and you say, you know what, shouldn't I need a break? Or you say, you know, I need a break. And how did you navigate through those tough times? You know, because in life, no matter what you do, it's never going to be this way. Life is up and down. You may end up here, but there's got to be some up and down. It's not a straight line, you know. So think back to your life, you know, 45 years of marriage and, you know, maybe 47, 48 years of dating together. Has there ever been a time where you're like, I don't tire?
That's a good one. I would say point blank there, I think our culture and the values of the kind of culture we grew in kind of held us out there, you know. Once a girl is giving out in marriage to you as a man, the parents will tell you, don't come back. That looks like it's good for you, and whatever happens there, you must endure. You must persevere to make sure it happens. So we grew up with that kind of mentality. Although that did not really come to play in strictly speaking, because of the kind of partnership we had, you know. And everything went well, like you said. We put in the discipline, we put in the commitment to make it work. So there was never a time we didn't say, oh, we're at the end of the road. Either you go your way or your own fine way. And I'm sure she also had some comments there, you know.
Yes, I really, you know, as you were talking, I was almost laughing. You know, I wanted to really burst out, you know. But what, in answering that question, and it's very important, because life is not a straight line graph, ups and downs. Today is good, tomorrow is good. How do you treat the first good? How do you treat the other good? My own answer is that, like when you go for job interview and they ask you, what are you bringing to the table? It's just like in marriage. What are you bringing in? The most important thing I want both, that I would like to see in couples, is that they are friends. You must, when your husband or your wife is your friend, there are sometimes love will fly through the window, but friendship will keep you. Friendship will keep that relationship. What do you do with your friend? You gist with your friend. You want to go out with your friend, maybe go shopping. You gossip. He's my number one gossip partner. In fact, till tomorrow, the children are like, what are you guys still talking about? Because he loves gist. So if I'm bored, or I go to him for gist and gossip. That was one of the reasons we have this kind of relationship 45 years after. Because we still gist and gossip like back in the days. So you make sure that that man or that woman is your friend. You must go out of your way to befriend each other. While we were dating, those first 3 years, yeah, it's very key. Those first 3 years, that was what we were doing. We will go to parties, we go to, and gist and like friends. Unlike these days, unlike what we have here now, microwave. You want it just like that. No. You must take a time to build that relationship. So when you love to do things all through the marriage, Shina will confirm to you that it doesn't matter who is wrong. I don't care who is wrong. I'm the first person to speak and break the ice. We have our moments when most couples will be like, you go east, let me go north. We can do that maybe at best for a few hours. Because I want to gist. I'm looking for my gist partner. So I don't care what. Gist. So in the process of looking for gist, we have forgotten
What the beef was about.
what it was all about.
Very
It's broken.
yes.
And I will always, he can even still hold on. I don't have that energy to not talk to anybody. I want to talk. And who else do I talk to? And somewhere along the line, we will forget what we have in mind. We are better off for it. 2 wrongs don't make a right. For a relationship to be healthy and to record 45, 50, one must decide that, look, I will bury my pride. I will humble, or I didn't say become a footmat. No. You have your goal, you have your objective, and the objective is, look, I'm the lady, I'm the woman in the house. A woman builds a home. And when that woman builds the home, it becomes a home, it's not a house. Coming from that perspective and reality, the woman should go the extra mileage, take the extra mile, take the extra effort, make whatever it takes. And that was my own style. We can fight, we can argue, and we really fight and we really argue. But you can never, I can't, in 45 years, no third party has ever come to our marriage. Not once. Not once.
That's knowledge.
Not once.
Because that's, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the questions I was going to ask you guys, you just answer, is how did you deal with in-laws? Because when two people come together, it's not just those two. You know, you have mother-in-law, father-in-laws, you have cousins, you have friends that they bring with them. Absolutely. You know, so were you saying that you've never had an outsider interfere in your marriage in 45 plus years? That's excellent. I think that's a key thing there.
And the in-laws have always lived with us.
And
They've always, from day one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not kidding you. From day one, no honeymoon, no. From day one, the in-laws have always lived with us.
And they've never interfered.
And this is a 22-year-old, let me say, because in today's balance, what is 22?
Yeah.
I should still be in college.
Yeah. Yeah.
From day one. But like I said to you, I did not go into this relationship. Let's just pray for wisdom. The husband, the groom needs wisdom. The bride needs wisdom. The in-laws are part of your family. You better realize it. Otherwise, there will be problems. These days, people talk about set boundaries. I just laugh. I'm like, back in the days, there's no boundary to set. There's nothing like boundary.
At all.
Your mother-in-law is calling you, you better leave whatever you are doing, and that's it. Yeah. They believe this is it. This is my position. You can't come today and take me off it. Wisdom will keep you. Wisdom will tell you that for that moment, take it. When you are in the four walls of your bedroom with your man, you can discuss and say, hey, how do we handle this? When the in-laws see that two of you are always on the same page, when they see one is saying the same thing, the other one is saying the same thing, then it's a different ballgame how they handle you. From day one, believe me. Wow. But thank God, rather than make us get on our nerves or give us issues, it became an asset and we became closer.
And
for 45 years, nobody.
I think just to add to that, I think we should give thanks to God.
Yes.
You know, ours may be a little bit different from some other people.
Yes.
We had parents on both sides that were God-fearing. I mean, they were more interested in making sure that their children succeed with the marriage. I remember after we married, my dad would go to shops, stores, and buy bread. Just those bread rolls and take her to her in our office. What is that bread?
I can get bread, Daddy. Some of us grew up back then, you know.
Maybe that was his own little way to say, hey, babe, better just hang it there with this young one. We have that on both sides too, you know. Everybody had their additions. I remember when we first had Wale, my mother-in-law, you know, arranged that we should get a house help to help us with look after the nanny. The nanny then, and you know, everybody has some little contributions to the other. And like she said, part of our own culture is that when you marry a lady, you better be sure you are married her even with your in-laws. And whatever little bits and pieces you need to kind of smoothing those things too. You too, as a good son-in-law, you try your way. Nobody will determine that for you, but it comes with the wisdom and the guidance, the kind of discipline you must have acquired over the years, you know.
Let me put a word out there for those coming after us.
Oh yeah, I'm getting there.
This man you see right now is the first son, the firstborn in the family. And you know, African culture, on the firstborn, there are some expected duties that lined up, just waiting for him to start work, and then he takes over. He started work, maybe some few months after, met a girlfriend that eventually became a wife. 3 years down the line became a wife. the expectation is still there and he still must meet. So when you were talking of in-laws, you will see where wisdom is what both should be praying for. Honestly speaking, I begin to benefit of hindsight. I begin to look at it that I don't think it's easy to just maneuver and just walk through without wisdom. Uncommon wisdom, not just any wisdom, uncommon wisdom. Because in the midst of your husband is taking care of you, he still has responsibilities to the family. And nobody can frown at that. It's just what must be done. But are you understanding that? How do you handle that? How do you appreciate that he's not only entitled to take care of you alone, or the children alone? He's now an extended family. How do you begin to appreciate that from the African culture and from that perspective? That's why I kept saying wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. God's wisdom.
Wow. Listen, they've unpacked a lot of knowledge. And we're about to kind of wrap it up and ask you, what advice would you have for your children that are in their 30s and 40s now, and for your grandchildren?
No one is in 30s again. All in their 40s.
See, that is so bluntly honest. I'm trying to be nice here, but that is like, forget it. Forget it,
No, but for people out there, honestly, it's a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, so before we get into, the advice, I just want to drop that so that you guys can think about it. But meanwhile, I want to ask some fun questions. Let's have a little bit of fun. So, Daddy, how has romance evolved from 1974 to 2002? When I say romance, is you're a guy. I end up call you Papa T. So, how is that for you? How has that evolved?
Honestly, that's a very good question. I remember when we got married, before that day, honestly, all my mind was that let's quickly get this ceremony out of the way, and I'm about to take this woman there, and we'll start having all the unlimited fun. Nobody will tell you come back home
8
o'clock and blah, blah, blah. And that was what, kind of went through my mind as a young man just going into this venture. And of course, romance, love making, everything, we had fun. We really had good fun. I mean, no doubt about that. And like I said, young couple, they all had their jobs, so income was not the challenge. It's just cutting our priorities and knowing what to do with it. So it was very, very, very interesting. And I think I really enjoyed it. And that was how, even when the income started growing, and we started becoming big boy and big girl too, we really had enough to service that relationship, including taking care of the children and, spoiling them, giving them all the good time. So I think I had the best of times then. Wow. Like anything at all, you may want to add,
Yeah, mommy,
from the woman's angle,
For me to answer, don't put this man will get into trouble if you like.
Should I get the camera?
because sometimes he forgets I'm married.
Yes.
And he still wants to be the hippie, the youthful, and on Friday they go to GIF Friday.
Yes.
And I'm like, hey, you have 3 children back home. This is mommy here too. And we are doing,
I'm a member of so many social clubs.
Honestly, he belongs to so many social clubs out there. Yoruba tennis club, lawn tennis club, waka club, all club. So sometimes romance goes.
But I made sure she was part of that for as much as possible. Well, I will sit her down.
Don't bribe me here.
She'll be frowning. And I'm still cruising.
See, I told you guys, this is the fun part of the interview.
Oh my God.
What is the sweetest thing he ever done for you that you're like, wow, Shona, you've done well?
What he has done for me, it's not material. It's not like buy me a car, build it. No. But the fact that I love to be intellectually stimulated. I can't sit down in 1 year and I'm not finding a course to do or a school to go or a program to. That's just me. But he gave me the wings to fly. It was never, Shebi, you just did. No. You want to go for your, that's why I don't know how many master's degree that I have because I cannot sit down. And then about 40 years ago, he joined Lions Clubs International, like Rotary, like Red Cross. And I was initially going to assist him in whatever assignment they got. I wasn't a member. So the members came up with, if you are doing so much for your husband, why don't you join? Then I joined. As at today, because of that, I want to join, you are there, I'm joining. Another person would have been, why? Why do you want to? As at today, I have gotten into some positions that the person that took me there is not even as he can't even believe.
You need to tell them what Lions Club is all about, though.
Well, I
so
just
that
think
it's clear to people who are viewing this or listening.
It's a volunteer organization, international, headquartered in Chicago. But all we do is, whenever there is a disaster, whenever there is hurricane or whatever, Lions are the first to respond, globally, internationally. If there's a scourge, like the COVID-19, we were the first. Whatever, name it. We partner with WHO, we partner with
the service
Foundation, with the Service of Volunteers organization.
So like Mommy says, like Red Cross, you know. And everybody's familiar with Red Cross, maybe not with Lions.
Yes.
Okay.
And from that zero level of going to help husband to now become in Africa, my position has left Nigeria. I've gone to the level of Africa, and the next position that, by the grace of God, I'm eyeing in the next few years is going to what they call the International Director for Africa. And I'll be the most senior, the #1 lion all over Africa. From helping. So when I said he gave me the wings to fly, that's where I'm coming from. Some men have inferiority complex. And when you begin to climb chapter like that, it's going to be, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? It might be subtle complaints, but eventually you don't get to where you're going. So that's for me. It meant that he has moved from, because the contract we had when I was getting married is education is priority for me. Whatever level I want to, nothing should disturb. So I've now moved from, I've done education. I've moved from education, I've gone into philanthropy. I've gone into volunteerism. I've gone into evocation, service organization. So he gave me that wings to fly because all these positions really puts me out there. And we go to places and you say, hey! Some men may get intimidated, but so for me, that's it.
That's sweet. So daddy to you. Now I won't ask you what's the sweetest thing she's done for you. Let me respect myself. But let me rephrase that same question in a way like, what is one thing that you appreciate the most about your wife?
What I appreciate about her is that she said, go get her. If right ahead of you, you are saying about 2 or 3 hills to climb, She will start climbing before she even starts thinking what the challenges are. And I've always enjoyed that about her because she found a way of achieving that task to the mutual benefit of the family. You know, without letting, your values or what you need to do to carry the family along, suffer. And she has done that very well over the years. And she still continues to do that. I remember then, if those kids, when they were still in school, if she hears that something is wrong, she starts going before I even know. He just phone me and say, look, I'm already on the way to Wiley School. This happened. Okay, go. Whatever will finance whatever the challenge, because at the end of the day, oftentimes, it is financial things, kids in school, one thing or the other, And she did that for all her 3 kids growing up.
So go back to the question I was, preparing you guys for. What knowledge or tips or advice would you give to, let's start, I would say your children, so I would say people in their 30s or 40s that are just getting married or been married for a few years, having little kids, and then I will go, later on we'll touch base to your grandchildren, because now you have how many grandchildren? 9 grandchildren. And I know none of them are married because I know them. So I had 3 each. So 3 grandchildren from 3 children. That's, oh my God, that's beautiful. So what advice would you give for young people like us in our age, around our age, and, starting our life?
I think she has a lot to say about that. I'll let her go. I'll let her go.
Well, for the upcoming ones, I want to say that, let me use a parable or a proverb. One hand, if you attempt to clap with one hand, you are just beating air, no sound will come. But if you attempt to do this, you can even, if you want it louder, you beat louder. Whichever way, you can readjust and you get what you want. So this is unity, this is teamwork, this is communication, this is tolerance. This is because if you are beating it too high, maybe it's now hot, then you can do it like, So, and these are all the ingredients needed to make a successful marriage. Don't let us go into it like it's a business partnership. No, it's not a business partnership. It's supposed to be a romantic, God-built partnership. And we ought to see from that perspective. I would say to the children that look at your daddy, look at me. Whatever we have done right, improve on it. Whatever we have done wrong, don't go near it. And if you can adopt that strategy or that equation, you'll be better off for it. But the most important thing is that this is a game of 2. It's a game of 2. And the 2 must make it work. Don't be like the one hand that wants to clap. You will not get anywhere, and you won't get any sound.
Let me just add, because of we need to emphasize communication aspect between 2 people going into that kind of a relationship, marriage. Don't think of it more as business. You bring your finance. And you communicate very well, discuss whatever works for you may not necessarily work for the next couple next door. You must find something that works for you. And tolerance, give and take, is the rule of the game. For as long as nobody is hurt, and you can't afford to be selfish about it. Put your cards on the table.
Mutual respect too.
Oh yes, that's another good one also. So that's it.
That's beautiful. Today has been a really nice day of knowledge, fun, laughter, wisdom. Most importantly, education for your grandchildren that are still young Anything, any advice you want to give them?
Oh, a lot, a lot. I remember when I was growing up too, what my own parents said. Look, and I always teach, Jada, my first grandchild, is 16 plus now. And I always say, I don't want you bring me one boy with torn pants, and say, hey, guy, I know. Oh, yeah, Dobale, let me see, let's start from there. And, I want somebody who is humble and, because sometimes when you are in this culture here, where there's so much, what I would say is an open, carefree society. It gets into the grandchildren too. And the earlier you start dosing them with a little bit of discipline to that, the greater life ahead, there are mistakes you cannot afford to make. It will mar you for life. So you better watch your steps, particularly when it now comes to who will be your future partner or not be your future partner. Say, better just be at the background to be part of the screening. So I always teach Jada now, say, look, I will come to your college and screen out whoever is not. But the most important thing is that let them know your values. Teach them in the way of the Lord if you are Christians. And if not, dose them with the values that you think will help them in later life to make it clean, and very good, that kind of a thing. Because most people in this society, they just think all that glitters is gold, that kind of a thing. And life is not like that.
Yeah. Mommy, anything?
Yes, let me just make a little addition. For the grandchildren, right? Given the age and the exposure, I will talk to them in a language they will understand. One question that I've asked the 16-year-old granddaughter is, how do you, if somebody is, a boy is toasting you, how do you begin to, are you relating with him from here? Meaning the head, looks, or heart? Because in any marriage, those are the three things you bring into the marriage. Intellectually, how you reason, wisdom, how do you look? Ragamuffin, or cool, or your heart, where love and romance will come from. So I'm going to say the look might be the first one. Find the person attractive. You don't want to wake up beside you one day and you're like, who is this? When you find that attraction, go to the head. Can you guys, because the grandchildren, they all have ambitions. I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be that. So whoever they are bringing in must also match intellectually. Mm-hmm. When you have partners that are intellectually compatible, it makes life easy for them. And then come to the heart. Romance will come from the heart, love will come from the heart. Once you can, algebra, I'm trying to look at what name I should give almighty equation. Heart, head, whatever. If you can put the three together, then you would have made a good choice. And again, the last thing I would say to them is, look at your parents. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Look at your parents. The three are married. One is 18 years anniversary. They are not tolerating themselves in that marriage. They are not enduring. They are enjoying. The next one is 15. Actually, 15 today. Yes. 15 today. Thank you. They are also not enduring themselves. They are enjoying. The last one is 12. Same thing. So I'm going to say to them, grandchildren, look at your parents. They have already laid, look at me and do what I do, kind of a template for you. If you can do that, thank God for the God in the lives of all those three parents, you have something to key into in terms of when will your anchor hold. When you want an anchor, the three parents have given you an anchor in Christ, an anchor in God, an anchor in your faith. So look up unto your parents. Whatever that they have done up until this time to make them successful all round, please do it. Whatever is out there in the media or in the society and you don't find it here, please don't do it, so that you don't get your fingers burnt. And most especially, anchor your life in choosing a partner on God. Once you have God in the equation, you can never fail. That would be my advice for the grandchildren.
Mommy, Daddy, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Any last words? Anything?
Well, just to thank Afrobeat Live for providing this platform to share our thoughts on what 45 years of marriage has been. No doubt, when I think back myself and say, wow, so it's already 5 years, I give all the glory to God. Thanks for bringing us out to share our thoughts.
Thank you very much, Afrobeat Life. You are building destinies.
Yeah.
Just with this, even though we call it fun family discussion, but behind it is building destinies, is building the future, is building the bedrock of the society, which is marriage. If the marriages are fun and happy, the products of those marriages out there will also reflect the kind of home they are from. And we won't have, I'm sorry to digress. I read on the internet some 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, eight of them, they mugged and killed a man in Canada. A 59-year-old man in Canada. These are 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds. I can bet that, go back to where to their history. So what ABL is doing right now is building destinies and trying to build a society that is filled, yes. And I pray that this effort that you have put into it, at the end of the day, it will give us a better society, a better egalitarian society. Thank you so very much for inviting us.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma. So you guys have heard it from Engr Adesina and Adetope Tychus, Mommy, Daddy. Thank you for coming and, share knowledge and wisdom. Follow us on Afrobeat Live, subscribe, share. Please share this. This is knowledge and wisdom from not just the expert, people that have lived it. And this is how we learn. And if you have any questions, please comment below so that we can share the knowledge and continue to grow. Again, my name is Akinmboni from Afrobeat Live. Thank you for joining us.